Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Welcome. It's Friday and it's Seniors Matter on Rainier Avenue Radio World. It is so good to be back after a little break. I hope that you're having a great new year and you're ready to start the day, or I should say the year off right. Well, my year started off a little differently. Just before the show today, I got in my car and it made a funny noise. And then all of a sudden, it made a very loud noise, like the muffler had come off. And I later found out that my catalytic converter had been removed. So all I can say is I'm so glad I have insurance. So my guest today is DeAndre Fisher. He's Associate Vice President of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion for North Seattle Colleges and one of the Diversity and Equity Officers for the Seattle Colleges District. Welcome to the show, DeAndre.
Hello.
You Texas all the way, huh?
I'm Texas all the way. I'm here.
I love it. I love it. That's great. Well, it's so good to finally meet you in person. We've been communicating by email, so it's good to see you.
Same here.
How's the weather there?
Much better. No snow and a little sunlight here.
All right. I like that. That is great. So before we get into talking about Project Baldwin, I'd just like to tell my audience that Seattle Colleges is again sponsoring Martin Luther King Jr. celebration on Friday, January 14th. Every year on the third Monday of January, we observe Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So, and we reflect on the work that still needs to be done for racial equality. This year, make the holiday more than just a day off. Take time to reflect and take action on civil rights issues across the world. Now, DeAndre, tell us about Project Baldwin and what it is.
Absolutely. What an honor to be here. Thank you once again. So we are excited at the Seattle Colleges to start a new initiative in this program, and it's called Project Baldwin. It's a mentorship initiative for Black and brown men attending the Seattle Colleges. Of course, it's named after the beloved, honored, elder, brilliant scholar, educator, activist, James Baldwin himself. And one of his quotes that I really am excited about, that I think is the foundation of this work, he states, "Not everything can be faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced." And I think that there is so pivotal to where we are on today, with everything happening in society, in the educational systems, in our communities, COVID. It can't be changed unless we face it. And I think thinking about Project Baldwin, that is what we're trying to do, really trying to face and understand the gaps that we see within our Black, African American, Latin American, Asian, Pacific Islanders, Indigenous communities. We know that historically has struggled to compete and also complete and persist in higher education, and particularly in the Seattle colleges. So how do we really eliminate that gap that we see against their peers or their counterparts that identify as white males compared to our men of color? So the ultimate goal is to really see this project really mentor, boost, and support men of color, and have them bring their full selves into the classroom and really support them in all angles. So excited.
So how long has this been? I guess, when was the start of this, or the dream, and how long?
Absolutely. So it's a dream, but it is coming into reality. So we have mentorship programs already within the Seattle colleges. But as you know, going beyond just a one-time investment is not going to be enough. So you have to really ensure that when you're thinking about the mentorship of men of color, supporting the men of color, witnessing and understanding the trauma that we go through, as I identify as a male of color, that we go through, just turning on today's TV and seeing the news and seeing, for instance, all of the social unrest happening, for the way we're being treated by police officers, for instance, the way we're being treated just walking down the street. So being a man of color, you don't get to take that identity off when you walk into the classroom, as you know. Being a woman of color, you don't get to take that identity off when you go into your work environment. You still have to, represent yourself. So understanding that, we also realize that this not only was happening, these mentorship programs were happening around our campuses, but the support, the funding was lacking. So now seeing that we have this partnership with the Gates Foundation, that we received $1 million to support our students. So how do we make sure that that funding really goes to support our students in their basic needs, whether that is food, housing, counseling, but then also looking at scholarships to make sure that they actually not only get to the Seattle colleges, but we retain them and graduate them is going to be most importantly.
So how would you say that this initiative is going to be important to the city of Seattle? I mean, I know, but just tell my audience.
Let me tell the audience. Preparing them for today's workforce, for preparing them for not only today's workforce, but then also changing the mindset and the stigmas that are placed on men of color and how we succeed and how we navigate within higher education. Gaining that confidence that we know even through K through 12 is questioned. What do I mean by that? The confidence for men of color. For instance, I'll use myself as an example. I had a lot of energy growing up in class. So that stigma of having all of that energy was placed on me to be a student of one that was not listening in class and one that didn't pay attention in class and didn't care about education. But that was not true. The system was not prepared and still is not prepared to really educate our men of color and educate our Black and brown boys the way that they need to be educated. So shifting that mindset in the higher education system, shifting that mindset in our elementary school systems is what Seattle is going to need. And I know that we're on the right track to do that. But we still have to call it out, because if we don't call it out, as the quote said, we will not be able to face it. So
exactly. So Seattle Colleges has successfully launched a handful of existing mentorship programs. What unique challenge will this new initiative look to overcome?
Oh my goodness. The biggest challenge that I think that we're all facing right now is the COVID challenge. And as it continues to, new variants happens, they're coming out. How do we navigate in a space of the unknown? And I think that is going to be, we have research, we understand the theoretical foundations that are needed to really support our men of color in this kind of mentorship program, but the research is not out there on how to mentor virtually. And that is the challenge, I'll be honest, because you know that that interpersonal skills is nothing like being with someone in person and loving on them and supporting them that way. So we're trying to find the best innovative and creative ways to do it virtually. So that is a challenge that to your audience, to you, that if you have some ideas, if you have some ways that you've been able to connect with your families virtually and do it in a fun and positive way, we're looking for those ways. That's me being completely honest. So navigating.
So is the college still doing in person, or are they
hybrid? It's okay. Some in person, some, some online. Majority of it is online as we see how to navigate through even this new variant. But as we get vaccinated, as people take care of themselves, should that be an option that people want to do, then you'll be able to come on campus a little bit more. But right now it's just still moving in the unknown.
I know I was at a restaurant yesterday, and of course they, asked us if we were vaccinated. In fact, when I made the reservation, the question was asked, and it said that, you would have to show your card. But what was interesting was that if you were not vaccinated, they were seating you outside. And the waiter, of course, had his or her mask on. But I thought that was interesting that they did it that way to, I guess, accommodate everyone. But yes. I earlier this year, I was involved with helping people get vaccinated, and we did out of our church and with also the Central Area Senior Center, we reached about 4,000 people.
Wow.
So when I see these people that have taken responsibility for themselves and others, I just go, well, why doesn't everyone want to do that? If they don't think they don't need the protection, they should know that other people do because they're still dying.
Right.
But everybody's got to do for themselves. What is really interesting too for me is let me do my commercial, and when I'll say something and you'll understand where I'm headed. But if you're just tuning in, you're listening live to Seniors Matter with your host, Brenda Charles-Edwards, on www.rainieravenueradio.world, your community radio station. I'm here every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Do you know what the best gift we can give ourselves and our loved ones? Well, join me on Zoom for a group or individual session on Speaking of Dying, End-of-Life Planning. You can reach me at 206-683-2636. So that's kind of where the virus fits in too. But my guest has nothing to do with that. His name is DeAndre Fisher, and he serves as a liaison, steward, and voice for students, faculty, and staff while guiding institutions to lead with racial equity and commit to continued development and adoption of common understanding of equity as racial equity, diversity, and inclusion, and create institutional actions necessary to dismantle inequities within the system. And that says a mouthful, but it also kind of sums up what this project's all about.
Absolutely. It's important. It's important to lead with racial equity. We know that leading with just equity is not enough, because the impacts on the race also, and the inequities on the African American community, on the Hispanic community, is too big just to say we're leading with equity if we don't put the race in front of it too as well. So,
right. And how does homelessness fit in this picture?
Oh, absolutely. At its finest. We see that even the impacts, that's why leading with racial equity is important, because when you lump even homelessness all together, we see the drastic differences between the homeless populations by race. And we see that we know not only some, as we know, majority, as research has shown, that our homeless population has a lot of mental and health awareness issues too as well. But then also that trauma part and the low socioeconomic part of communities of color that are homeless, not only due to a lot of trauma and a lot of mental awarenesses, but even more so the cost of living just in Seattle alone, the impacts that has to really increase homelessness that has on our people of color and our communities of color has got to be addressed in many ways. So the cost of living plays a role too as well when impacting homelessness.
So do you have a timeline of what this is going to take? Because it's a big project. It's a great project, but I know it's like, it needs to be done now. It needs to be finished. It won't be ever finished, but at least you've gotten this $1 million. So that's great. That's a great start.
Great start.
But do you have a vision or an idea of how long it's going to take you to just even reach maybe 25% of the targeted market?
So, I appreciate that, because when we think about this work and we think about even just having a starting point, we know that our institutional success can only be measured based off of the way that we see our students facing the greatest impacts and barriers, how they complete. So when you think about how do we know it's being successful, for me, we look at the success based off of the completion rate of our students of color. How do they complete compared to their peers? So that is going to take time, but then we know that some of the short-term goals that we can address right now is creating those scholarships, it's creating a mentorship program like this, it's creating spaces and opportunities where our students of color, in particular our men of color, feel like they have a sense of belongingness to, and create that type of environment to where they can say, the Seattle colleges is where I want to be, because I know that they're going to support me beyond just what they can see, but they actually care about me because they understand my lived experiences. That is going to take time. But once again, going back to the quote, if we don't address it now, then when will we address it and when will we face it? So
exactly.
Yeah.
So how it sounds like that this ties in with the Seattle College's mission and commitment to equity in education. Can you elaborate a little bit on that for me?
Absolutely. So we know that this is mission critical work. This has got to be a part of the mission. So the Seattle Colleges is adopting what is the SBCT's vision, the state board vision of leading with racial equity. And that vision basically states that leading with racial equity for our colleges maximizes the potential of transforming the lives within the culture and creating a sense of belongingness to advance racial, social, economic justice that serves our diverse communities. So what does all of that mean? Because that is great words, as you stated. What does that mean in action, though? That means in actions that you have to actually have a charge that holds your institution accountable. So what are we doing? We have a racial equity charge, and this is a 3-year charge. It is important that you put deadlines on your charges, because if you do not have someone to hold you accountable, then we know that these charges will last 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So we have a 3-year charge, and we're going to see within this 3-year charge, we have 3 racial equity goals. Goal number 1 is going to truly be highlighting how do we increase the completion rate for our African-American, Black, Native American, First Nations, Indigenous, Latinx, and Pacific Islander students. Why is it important that I name off all of those communities? Because we have to dismantle how we lump all of our communities together and quit saying just, I love our people of color, but if we lump us all together and not actually identify Black, African-American, Native American, then we know that we're still going to be doing the same thing that we've been doing all of these decades and generations. So,
and that's how we don't get the funding that we need either, and that we're entitled to, because we're all lumped together.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
I mean, geez.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm really excited about this. I mean, your energy is fantastic. And I was thinking about how you said in the beginning about how you got lumped into categories because of your energy, and no one really understanding, I shouldn't say no one, but the higher powers, quote unquote,
right,
not understanding that this energy is in the making of something great. Don't be stifling it and trying to put it in a box of, oh, this child has emotional problems, or all of that. And it's like, ooh, this is just great. So you need mentors. So what parts of the mentoring do you think it's going to help change lives, and how are you getting your mentors, and how do you want to get them?
Great question. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, mentors are needed. And the joy about when I think about why we need mentors, and the joy about having mentors from all levels. So faculty mentors that teach different curriculum and different angles. And then also community mentors is going to be important. So bringing a wealth of knowledge all into one space is going to be important. We're launching this. We're going to have on our Seattle College's website ways that our communities can get involved, ways that people can get involved. So I know you'll share it too on your website too as well. So please visit the Seattle College's website. learn how you can sign up and get involved. We're creating an elders council too as well, that our elders from our communities help guide us, because we know that this work is not new work. Let me be very clear. I'm coming in and doing this work on the shoulders of many people prior to me, so I want to honor them and honor that I am not doing anything new, but I am just the steward in this time to lead this work. So I'm humbled by that. But mentors are needed from all ages, all backgrounds, and that could be on any level. So
any subject too?
In any subject. Any career field. Our students are in higher ed, are going to all kind of career fields, whether that's the medical career field, IT, or starting up their own businesses. I mean, just a wide variety ranges of where our students are going to need those mentors and in different levels. So peer-to-peer mentoring is going to be important. We're looking at having peer-to-peer mentoring so peers can be mentored within their own age round too as well. And then also having the faculty and staff mentoring so our students can have that one-on-one connection with a faculty member that can talk about the challenges within the classroom, but then also those challenges outside of the classroom. Brenda, as you know, it is hard not to think about when I'm in class and I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat the next hour, or how I'm going to pay my bills, or how I'm going to make sure my child gets to daycare. That is very hard to think about. Let me look at this problem on the board, but then let me forget about what I have to do outside of this class. That's not realistic.
Not at all.
That.
So do you guys, well, I know at South Seattle College, I taught a notary public class. And
yes.
So is there any interest up at North?
Yes, it is. Look, yes, please.
And we'll talk.
Okay, look, let's make it happen.
Oh my gosh, this has just really been enlightening. You know, it's been a struggle for us, as well as other people that are in a disadvantaged situation through no fault of their own. And of course, the pandemic definitely has not helped at all.
Right.
I also, I sub in a school district in the Seattle Public Schools at a high school. And I look at these kids and I say, you know, this is our future. And some of them are really wanting to strive. Others are not really getting it. But then when the pandemic hit and they started to lose some of their friends, family, I think it's, from just the little that I'm seeing, I think it's been really an eye opener for some other kids. And they're like, wow, you know, tomorrow is not promised.
Right.
And tomorrow is today. So you need to try to get what you can get education wise. And it doesn't have to be that you have to go to college. There's trades, there's all types of things. And even like you said, being an entrepreneur.
Yep.
So I just pray that our kids and all kids have an opportunity to be able to better their lives.
Yep.
So if someone wants to become a mentor, how do they get in contact? Do they just have to go through the website, or is there another way?
Absolutely. So go through the website, and also my email. It's my first and last name is deandre.fisher@seattlecolleges.edu. Send me an email. We would love to have community members. We would love to have you all. We do plan on, fingers crossed, COVID allows us, we will have a community kickoff with a barbecue in a park. And have guest speakers, and we'll have this event. And I know I'm going to send you the event information so you can share when that event happens.
I will definitely share it. Yes, most definitely. But that park thing is like, is that going to be in the summer?
Yeah, listen, we hoping for the summer, of course, because we want to be mindful of the weather in Seattle, and then also the spacing and things of that nature. But yes, in the summer.
Well, we're having liquid sunshine right now, and I am grateful for that because I don't do snow very well, and so I'm very grateful to see the rain.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add before we close, DeAndre?
Just thanking everyone who's been a part of our vision, for many people within the Seattle colleges, many brothers and faculty members who've helped bring this along. Thanking you for allowing us to be here. Excited that we're going to announce it and do a big publication during our MLK event in which you announced. So we're excited, and they can tune in to that event. It'll be streaming live and learn more too. So thank you for allowing us to be here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you to you.
Well, it is my pleasure. I'm glad that I was able to be connected with you guys, because you're going to be doing some taping. Some of Mount Zion, our interim minister of worship, is going to be doing the welcome, and a few other things are going to be happening. So we're just glad to be a part of that. But like I said, I'm glad that I was able to have you on so you could talk about the Baldwin Project, or Project Baldwin. And also just, reminding everyone that, yes, the holiday is on a Monday, but this is a bigger picture. Martin Luther King was more about that than just being little. It's like, go to that mountaintop. So I've got to go now, but I just want to say thank you to my listening audience, and as importantly, thank you, DeAndre. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. I mean, like in person with our masks on.
Yes.
But anyway, everyone have a great weekend. Be safe. Live your life like it's golden. The coronavirus special edition is up next. Take care, DeAndre. Have a safe flight back.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.